Hello and welcome to panel 7, 19th Century Colonizing Theatre. We have a three-speaker panel. It is my pleasure, first of all, to introduce you to the first speaker, Ayumi Fujioka from Sugiyama Jogakuen University, who is professor in theatre studies, School of Cross-Cultural Studies at Sugiyama Jogakuen University in Japan. Her research has been centered on various aspects of the Edwardian theatre. She currently conducts research on the intercultural relationship between British and Japanese theatre, Asia-Pacific theatre. She's published an article entitled A New Notion of Time in Modern Tokyo Life, a comedy at high speed at Imperial Theatre in the 1920s in the Journal of Global Theatre History in 2019. And she has also published a translation of Christopher Baum's book, Theatrical Public Sphere, in 2022. She has edited, in addition, two books, Critical Aspects, three books, Critical Aspects of Theatre Studies, Volume 1 and Volume 2, 2011-2015, and Theatre and Culture in London, A History of Modern British Theatre. The title of her paper is Migrating Modern British Theatre, a Japanese Actress's Perspective on the West End. So the floor is yours, and thank you.
Thank you for the kind introduction. My gratitude goes to the organizer of the conference. I'm already impressed by the amazing hosting. And my title is Migrating Modern British Theatre, Japanese Actresses' Perspective on the West End. Theatrical migration became significantly frequent since the late 19th century. Plays and scripts began to circulate globally, and theater companies such as Mining and Troupe and the Royal Comic Opera Company and the Kawakami Otojiro Company started their world tours. Migration enables new perspectives and experiences to be exchanged through intercultural encounters. It allows for creative and hybrid cultural practices to emerge. However, conflict that may emerge when migration increases rapidly or comes in waves. Historian John Darwin notes that, quote, the acceleration of European expansion from the 1880s onwards led to, for the first time in world history, a stratification of physical, economic, and cultural power was imposed on a global scale, unquote. In many cases, the migration of Western theater during this period is described in terms of dichotomy between the dominant and dominated in the colonial context. Migration in British theater is often understood in the same context. However, the migration discussed in this paper presents a slightly different aspect. This paper considers theater migration through the eyes of a Japanese actress who stayed in Britain in the early 20th century. When we think of Asia, Japan, and women, we tend to assume the minority position. The case of actress Ritsuko Mori reveals another aspect of modern theatrical migration in the complex context of colonial hegemony. The migration of British theater in the early 20th century through the eyes of Asian Japanese who stayed in London in 1913. Ritsuko Mori is one of the first modern Japanese actresses. While performing in traditional theater, such as kabuki, Japanese dance, and shinpa, meaning new drama, Mori also played the leading role in Japanese musical comedy, which is called joyugeki, meaning actress play. This actress play had a major influence on the modern Japanese musical comedy that emerged around the same time, such as Takarazuka Review Company. In 1913, Mori stayed in London to absorb British theater. Mori's achievements can be summarized as follows: the establishment of Japanese musical comedy, the improvement of the status of Japanese actresses, and promoting intercultural aspect of Japanese theater. In this presentation, particular attention will be paid to the intercultural aspect. And it was my honor, great honor, to have a talk about Mori's transformation of musical comedy, along with Professor Jim Davis's great talk at the London Theatre Seminar several years ago. And this is a picture of actresses of actress play, and Mori is in the center. And here's the Mori's portrait. And this is a picture of the very early Japanese musical comedy called A Silent Journey. The purpose of Mori's stay in London was to learn about British theater to modernize Japanese theater. Mori has published a book, A View of the West, My Journey, in which she reports that Britain is a country of scientific and technological advancement, where the middle and the upper classes enjoyed a luxurious lifestyle. She is impressed by the fact that theater has developed as an industry, and that actors are upper classes people who are awarded knighthoods. The book consists of 4 parts: the lives of British people in general, the drama school she attended, her interaction with British theater people, and a review of West End theater. Mori had close contact with various British theater persons, such as Forbes Robertson, Gertrude Elliott, Herbert Beaventree, Harley Gurley Barker, Lawrence Irving, and others. These are the performances she attended during her stay in London. The performances can be categorized in the 5 genres: comedy, musical comedy, variety, review, opera, and others, including Forbes Robertson's farewell performances, some charity performances, and Yellow Jacket, which is a Chinese play, and Typhoon is a Japanese play, which I will talk about later, and Russian ballet as well. Mori's perspective on West End is, on the one hand, similar to the view already noted by many theater critics. John Pick mentions that, quote, between 1880 and 1914, the term West End became a synonym for high sophistication and expense, a term which could be used by advertisers to sell fashionable clothes, luxuries, makeup, perfume, and entertainment equally, unquote. Mori also expresses a similar view to that of Pick. Quote, Ibsen's The Pretenders was staged at the Haymarket Theatre this spring at great expense. Not only is the author famous, but it was staged by the popular Lawrence Irving's troupe and was not well received. People don't like to watch a tiring play with a heavy theme. You know. Mori sees the mainstream of the West End as a popular entertainment, which is similar to the prevailing view. Her particular interest in London theatre were musical comedy, feminist play, and intercultural theatre. And 3 areas have influenced her contribution after her returning to Japan. Mori's first, she was fascinated by musical comedy because she noted a sense of humor, music, and dance that was not present in Japanese plays. After returning to Japan, she actually played a major role in the creation of musical comedy in Japan. Second, feminist theater in London at the time also had a significant impact on her. For example, she attended a play of Vote for Men, which is a parody of Elizabeth Robin's famous feminist play, Vote for Women. Also, during her stay in London, there was breaking news that Emily Davidson threw herself onto the Queen's horse at the Derby. And she recognized that the actresses, British actresses, play leading roles in suffrage movement. After returning to Japan, she contributed to promote the position of Japanese actresses in the society. And this is the picture of a suffrage speech by a British woman. And actress Eileen Van Brugh, who devoted to suffrage movement, and both are captured in her book. Third, Mori was also interested in intercultural theater. She details the most memorable 5 plays of the 49 performances. Light the Veil by Kipling and performed by Forbes Robertson. Sweet Knell of Old Drury by Fred Terry, which is a historical play set in the reign of Charles I. And the Chinese play Yellow Jacket, and the Japanese play Typhoon. Of the 5, 3 are British plays and 2 are intercultural plays. And this balance is not surprising because many intercultural plays were staged in the West End at the time. I will focus on the Typhoon and consider how Mori viewed intercultural theater. And this is a picture of Lawrence Irving, who played the Japanese protagonist in Typhoon. Typhoon was written by Hungarian dramatist Mekia Lengel in 1909, and the play premiered in Budapest, followed by the performances in Berlin, Paris, and London. The English version was translated and adapted by Lawrence Irving and performed in London in 1913, where it was a huge hit. The synopsis of the original play is as follows. The main character are Takeramo, a Japanese diplomat, and Belinsky, a young Polish man, and Helene, a German woman. Takeramo and Belinsky are in love with Helene, who is a passionate woman, and who becomes a lover of Takeramo. Takeramo is portrayed as a polite, quiet, calm Japanese and always smiling. Helene is attracted to Takeramo's exotic Japaneseness, but at the same time finds him creepy, describing him as follows, quote, "The man is yellow outside, but what is he like inside?" Unquote. Helene and Belinsky are frequently annoyed by Takeramo's way of communication, which is so different from Westerners. Quote, "Whereas Westerners would get angry and argue, the Japanese would get shut up," unquote. More than a year later, Takeramo is advised by his boss that he should stop seeing Helene because Takeramo will eventually return to Japan. When the couple realize that his boss is against their relationship, they discuss the future. Takeramo claims that his love for Helene is genuine and that he does not want to leave her. But Helene, with her mixed feeling of love and hate, says in a contemptuous manner, quote, "I don't like you, I never loved you. Although I was behaving as a lover, you made me sick to my chest. You are dirty, you are yellow. That's how I really feel," unquote. Unable to stand it any longer, Takeramo strangles Helene to death. And to avoid a murder charge by Takeramo, a diplomat, as an important status in the state. Takeramo's boss frames another 18-year-old young Japanese man as a culprit. This means sacrificing an individual in order to protect the national prestige. At the verdict, Takeramo exclaims, "I am the culprit," he shouts, but nobody believes. In the end, the young man who takes his part was executed. And many Japanese critics see the play in the context of Orientalism or Yellow period. In summary, comparative literature scholar Hirakawa Hirosuke later studied and commented on the original play produced in Europe. Quote, "The success of this play is not due to its artistic value, but to the audience's interest in Japan as a country that won the war against Russia. Typhoon is portrayed the latent image of the Japanese held by the Westerners at the time. The play presents the question and answer to what kind of country Japan was when it was first appeared in the international politics. The performance of the play, notwithstanding the criticism of the Japanese shown in it, is interesting. The prejudice and the distortions shown by Legal are typical of the Western view of the Japanese," unquote. Hirakawa sees the original version of Typhoon as a racist work that represents the Japanese as seen by the West, which is repulsive. In the London production that Mori saw, Takeramo was played by Irving. And actually, Irving made significant changes in the original play. After Helene's death, Irving inserted a speech in the final act in which Levinsky persuades Takeramo to confess the truth. Levinsky tells Takeramo that, quote, "100 years ago, Bastille fell, and my friend Takeramo, Bastille had got to go on falling. The words all over them. But they will fall. Look at you. This Japan of yours, it's a Bastille. It won't let the light of your soul, life, sorrow, joy, brandy, love, it shut them all off from you. Every country is a Bastille. Yes, and every instinct of patriotism. It's only another fortress with the guns trained on the soul of man. Tear them down," unquote. Levinsky explains the danger of nationalism, and Takeramo is also is so impressed by his speech that he decides to confess the truth. Levinsky then tells Takeramo that, quote, "You're more than a Japanese, you're a human being. You're akin to me in soul. Let us lay bare our hearts," unquote. So here's the emphasis on universal human justice. So what is common in the original and the Irving version is the portrayal of Japanese loyalty to the state. However, the Irving version differs from the original in that it clearly presents the sense of danger of the state surpassing the individual as it antithesis. Mori describes this production as one of the most memorable plays and states that, quote, "Typhoon is a play about justice in addition to humanity with the Japanese as the protagonists." Mr. Irving, when I met him in person, asked me many questions about various aspects of the Japanese, unquote. Mori's words shows her respect for Irving, who made the changes in order to emphasize the universality in the play, and indicates that she does not see Typhoon simply as a yellow period play or race play, but as a universal justice play that transcends racism. Mori became a star actress after returning to Japan and played a major role in the establishment of Japanese musical comedy. Many Japanese musical comedy had intercultural element, and don't have enough time to talk about this. Apart from stage acting, Mori frequently interacted with prominent foreign performers such as Ana Pavlova, Luz and Dennis, and La Argentina, who came to Japan for their performances. She describes her personal exchange with Ana Pavlova as follows, quote, "When you compare Western and Japanese customs, they are often quite the opposite. Dance is one of them. But what I have learned is that no matter which country you are from, even though the forms are different, what is really important in the art is commonality of talent, effort, enthusiasm, and intelligence," unquote. Whether performing intercultural theater or interacting with foreign performers, Mori was always interested in the commonality within the heterogeneity. There are four notable aspects of Mori's attitudes and discourse. One, the absence of colonial elements as being dominated. Two, the fact that she does not deny imperial hegemony. Three, the absence of elements of yellow period theory. And four, her attempt to transcend racism. Mori's attitude has the following background. Japan was not a Western colony at the time. Rather, it was an empire that was trying to expand the dominance over Asian countries. The background to Mori's attitude in 1 and 2 relates to Japan's position in the international politics before World War I. And this attitude is similar to those of other Japanese intellectuals of that time. However, 3 and 4 are Mori's unique attitude within the most Japanese intellectual who are hostile and trying to competitive with the West and sensitive to the yellow period theory. Mori deliberately tried to transcend racism by trying to look at universality. Mori's experience of British theater is linked to her contribution to the establishment of Japanese musical comedy, the raising of status of Japanese actresses, and the contribution to the intercultural aspect of the modern Japanese theater. Above all, examining individual cases in the issue of theater migration can raise questions about the complexity of international politics and simplification of colonial discourses. Thus, the intercultural contact of Mori, an Asian Japanese woman in Britain, cannot be pictured in the simple colonial dichotomy of the dominant and the dominated, but can be said to represent one aspect of the complex hegemony of modern Britain and theater migration.